this is James, and I'd like to welcome you to the second part of the Oracle Outlook for the week starting September the 3rd, 2018. If you're just landing on this part and you haven't checked out the first part yet, I'll be leaving a link to that video in the description box below. You may want to give it a look. It will help you come to a greater sense of understanding of what's being talked about in this particular installment. In this part, we're going to be taking a look at the hidden dynamics and the essence card. So to bring you up to speed just a little bit, we've been working with Lenormand this week, and the deck of choice has been the Rana George Lenormand, which is by Rana George and Callie French, and it is published by US Game Systems Incorporated. Now, if you're new to the hidden dynamics, I'll share a little bit about that now. The hidden dynamics is a technique I did not come up with on my own. I got it from the pages of a wonderful book on Lenormand called The Complete Lenormand Oracle Handbook by Kathleen Matthews. It is my favorite book on Lenormand. And the hidden dynamics is a technique that uses the playing card inserts on the Lenormand cards. And so I am a big lover of playing cards, so I knew when I discovered this technique, I would eventually use it for myself and in my readings. So the way that the hidden dynamics works is that we focus on the central card. So the central card in the line of 5 reading that I did in the previous video is once again bouquet. And bouquet is associated with things like surprises, gifts, and invitations. And one of my particular meanings of it is making arrangements, playing on the idea that a floral arrangement is the image on the card. So those are the things that we would focus on using the hidden dynamics, right? So again, it would be surprises, gifts, invitations, maybe even a form of appreciation, going with the idea about a gift, maybe a talent, and that would still be under the guise of appreciation, or this idea of making arrangements regarding something, right? So the way it works is that we start with the outer cards. So the outer cards in the line this week were gentleman was on the left side opening the line up, and the lady was on the opposite end of the line rounding things out. So they were facing each other in the line, which talks about a relationship, and that each party in the relationship is looking forward to something, possibly from the other person, right? So that was the dynamic, between those two cards. So now what we do is we consider the Ace of Hearts, which is on gentleman, and the Ace of Spades, which is on lady. So there's 2 ones. Aces is a number 1, so 1 plus 1 is 2. What we do is we take the numerical value of the cards and add them together. So the second card in the deck, because once you come up with the number, it should correspond to a card in the deck system. So since there are 40 cards in the deck, we look for the second card. So going through the deck, I'm pulling out the second card, and the second card in Lenormand is the Clover card. So that is the card we are looking for, because now this has revealed itself as one of the dynamics in the situation. And I have it right here. So Clover is a card of opportunity. So if we go with the idea that bouquet could represent a surprise or a gift or an invitation, then it could be suggesting that there is an element of it that's an opportunity. An opportunity is being presented, right? Playing on the idea that gift can also be a present. So an opportunity is being presented here. So some of my other associations for Clover in alignment with that, or along with that, is that the opportunity in question may be something short-term, which means that it's of a short span of time, or that it's brief in nature in terms of the window of time attached to the opportunity, which means that if you're considering whether to take on the opportunity or not, whether to pursue it any further, there may be a brief period of time within that mulling over process, right? There is that. Now, Clover could also be, when it comes to opportunities, this card could be about chances, taking chances, because one of my meanings for this card is gambling, and gambling is all about games of chance, right? So with that in mind, this could just be a matter of taking a chance on the opportunity or going out on faith, because I tend to look at the Clover card as a leap of faith. Some other descriptors of this card could represent good luck. So this could be something of a lucky opportunity. It could be something that's fortuitous because fortune is attached to clover as well. So again, I would look at this as opportunity. It may be something brief or a short-term opportunity. It may be that we have to kind of mull things over. We have to consider, you know, whether we're wanting to take a chance on the opportunity being presented. So those are, again, aspects of clover, which is now one of the dynamics that has been revealed, right? So that's that. Now, we do the same thing with the inner cards, and that will give us the other side of the coin, or the other dynamic that's going to be revealed. Now, bed is the card that was next to man or gentleman, and bed is interesting because it's one of the extra cards in the deck. There are 4 extra cards, and those 4 extra cards do not have playing card inserts attached to them. So this is actually 0 because it has no value in terms of a playing card. But on the other side is dog, and dog has a 10 of hearts. So here we have the numerical value of 10. So 0 plus 10 is 10. So now we look for the 10th card in the deck. And the 10th card is scythe. So I'm looking for the card now. All right, and here we have scythe. So now on the other side of the coin, we have scythe. Scythe is a card that can be somewhat challenging because it can represent things like severing something, a split, a disconnection, or some kind of break. So it can also represent something that's painful, something that hurts. I call it the injury card, something that has a sense of woundedness attached to it, right? So there is that. So it's very interesting. So on the one side, we have clover with the opportunity. This could be something that is fortuitous, something that is lucky. And then here we have with scythe, on the other side, we have something that could be potentially risky. If we go with the idea that the focus card is talking about a surprise or a gift or an invitation, something being presented to us, then we have, what the cards are saying is that the surprise, the gift, or the invitation lies between luck and risk, right? So there is that to consider. Now, if we go with the idea and widen this just a little bit, because we were talking about the potential relationship context here in the cards. If we go here with clover, then clover again is an opportunity, right? Again, it's about taking a chance, and one of the elements that I talked about in the previous video was this idea about the possibility of friends becoming lovers, right? And with that, then the parties involved would have to decide if they're willing to take a chance and risk what they have in terms of their friendship by changing the dynamic and going from, you know, a friendship to a sexual relationship, right? So there is a possibility with that. It's a matter of, again, are you willing to take the chance? Do you consider it luck, or do you consider the risk too great? And it could sever or damage the relationship that you have going on right now. So there is that to consider. Now, another possibility, I'm seeing this, somebody may consider clover to be an opportunity in light of scythe. Now, another element that we talked about in the previous video was this idea about faith and trust and loyalty, especially with dog, right? So if that's the case, and this card is on the side where dog and lady are, as we talk about the cards, you know, because clover is above man and bed, right? So here above woman and dog, you know, if the idea here is that one of the people involved was looking for loyalty, was looking for faithfulness, was looking for the other person to be trustworthy, then here we may have a situation in which that loyalty, that faith, or that trust has been broken, because scythe can represent a break. And so if that's the case, then it's about repairing the disconnection, right? If that break in trust or loyalty resulted in something being severed or a disconnection, then it could just be that the person may be looking at it as an opportunity to repair that disconnection, right? And they may do it through an invitation or a gift of some kind. I'm seeing the idea of like maybe making a peace offering, that kind of thing. But it could just be a matter of, and maybe even surprising somebody with something. Now, it could also be, too, since I just said the word surprise, that this break, this split, this disconnection, as a result of being hurt, in pain, or wounded, you know, it came suddenly, unexpectedly, without any warning. Those are all aspects of Scythe as well. And then that would fit the context of bouquet being a surprise. So those are the dynamics. And then what we can do now is we can take a look at all the playing cards and add them all the way across. So doing so, and I have my handy adding machine here because I don't trust myself to keep it all in my head. So we have the Ace of Hearts, which is 1. Bed, remember, doesn't have a playing card insert, so it's 0. The Queen of Spades is attached to Bouquet, so she's valued at 12. All queens are valued at 12. So we have 1 plus 12 plus 10, and then plus another 1. So the total is 24. Now the 24th card in the deck is Heart. So now here we go. We're adding another layer of meaning to this, another layer of association. So because in the previous segment I talked about this idea about, you know, friendship or an intimate relationship, you know, that kind of thing. And now Heart makes it quite clear because Heart is a card that can represent, here it is at the very bottom, that can represent love and romance. So for some people, the context of this particular scenario may be one of a romantic nature. It could also represent something having to do with our feelings and our emotions, matters of the heart. It doesn't necessarily have to be romance, but it could just be a situation in which there's been a lot of emotion that's come up as a result. And that would go again with Scythe, being this idea about being hurt or being pained or being wounded. It may be pain, emotional hurt, emotional woundedness, right? So there is that to consider, but very interesting. So context could be that the relationship between the man and the woman is one of love, of romance, or it's just a very emotional situation in which there's been hurt, there's been pain, there's been injury, there's been a sense of woundedness, and we're wanting to repair that damage, right? So that is Heart. Now the very last thing that we can do is we can take a look at what's called the Essence card. And the Essence card is found by taking the numerical value of all the cards straight across. So for instance, in this particular case, Gentleman is number 28, so we have 28. The Bed card is number 39. Bouquet is 9. Dog is 18. And then Our Lady is 29. So we have a total of 123. Now, because there are 40 cards in this deck, now remember there are 4 extra cards in this deck, so it's over 40. Our total is over 40. So what we do is we take all the digits and we add them across. So we have 1 plus 2 is 2, and then 3 makes that 6. So we look for the 6th card in the deck, and that is Clouds. And so Clouds, like Scythe, is a challenging card. Thinking it might be on the bottom again. Oh, close to it. All right. So here we have Clouds, and Clouds is the most challenging card in the deck, and it can represent confusion, it could represent uncertainty, it could represent doubt. So now we have a slight shift. So as a result of the context of the scenario between the man and the woman, maybe the surprising nature of Bouquet, you know, this could just represent something that's confusing or has caused confusion or has led up to confusion, or something that we are now uncertain about. So if we go with the idea of about a gift, a presentation, something being presented, or an invitation being bestowed, then there may be some uncertainty about whether to accept that or not. And that would make sense going with the dynamics where we had Clover talking about taking a chance and Scythe talking about something being potentially risky, right? So there is that. So here we have, and that may be producing this sense of confusion. I'm not sure. I have doubt. Those kinds of things. Now, if we go with the idea that potentially that there has been some sort of grievance, meaning like somebody has been hurt, somebody has been wounded, somebody is in pain, then clouds could be, what can we do in terms of the misunderstanding in order to clear the air? Whenever clouds comes up for me, yes, I always acknowledge the fact that it can represent confusion and uncertainty and doubt, but it's also about clearing the air. So this may be an opportunity for the parties involved to clear the air regarding some misunderstanding, especially if one of the parties involved has been hurt, maybe had their trust broken, maybe felt like it was a breach in loyalty to the friendship, to the relationship, what have you, and needing to have that cleared up. So that is how I would look at clouds. And on that note, I'm going to go ahead and end the second part of this week's Oracle Outlook. I'm James Himm Mitchell. And as I close, I'd like to thank you for sharing space here with me for the hidden dynamics and the essence. And I look forward to sharing this same space with you again in our next video reading together. So until then, I'm hoping that you have a wonderful day. And I'm hoping that if you are resonating with this idea about pain and being hurt, I hope that you move through that as quickly as you allow yourself to do so. Honor your feelings this week and move through it when you are ready to move through it. And until then, take care.